I'm Steven.
And I'm Kevin.
In today's episode of the Steven and Kevin Show,
we're going to offer some advice on having a really productive day.
Welcome back. It's been a month coming back. Kevin had some hair implants and when he fully
hair implants? Thanks.
Kevin had an undisclosed surgery.
Undisclosed
People
operation.
would be looking at him like, is something different about it? Yeah. Kevin got some hair plugs in his beard. Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 45 of the Steven and Kevin Show. Coming back off of a little bit of a hiatus over the holidays. Mm-hmm. But we're back. Just when you thought we were canceling the show, we're back for more episodes this year.
Yeah, we got a couple tweets, a couple LinkedIn messages wondering, hey, when are you going to do another episode? Which always makes us feel good.
Yeah.
And
it makes us feel good and bad. Makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
But gosh, the holidays creep in. We take a few weeks off. And, hey, first week of the year, we got to get back at it. So what better topic for the first part of the year than to talk about maximizing the productivity in your day? Mm-hmm. Because it doesn't matter what business you're in. You want to get the most out of your day.
Yeah.
It's not that people really want to go in and work 80 hours a week. If you can get it done in 40 and have super productive days, more power to you. So today is not about how many hours you're working so much as what are you getting out of those hours?
Yeah, and think about this. I mean, there's so many of you out there who have experienced this day where you get in the office and it's just all reactive, right? It's putting out fires. It's you, and at the end of the day, you did accomplish things, but you feel like you really didn't make progress towards your end goals, whether it was the growing the business or getting more wallet share of your clients, whatever those goals might be. You're not really making progress towards those. You're just in this whole reactive mode. So today we're going to talk about tips to go on the offensive here and get the most out of your day.
Right. And it's one of those days, Kevin, that you're describing where you're totally reactive. You don't go home feeling like you didn't do anything.
No.
But you go home feeling like you missed something.
Yeah.
And the something we're missing are the proactive pieces that help us grow the business and retain clients and all of those things that are important to us. Mm-hmm. And if you think about the nature of so many of the calls that we get, Kevin, from people who've been in the industry for a little while and have a full load of clients to work with, the vast majority, 99% of the days end up being somewhat reactive because you have a lot of people who need your advice and counsel, and you have team members and all kinds of things that can pull you away from being proactive.
Mm-hmm. And even during those meetings, which we'll talk about a little bit today, is that you can have that strategic intent. You can get the most value out of those interactions. And sometimes, again, if we're going just through the day-to-day monotony of what you're doing, you're not getting that value. Now, today is based on a study from the Financial Planning Association of over 750 financial advisors as it pertains to productivity and time management. And there's some really interesting findings in this study.
Right. Starting with only 13% of advisors feel in complete control of their business. Mm-hmm. That was pretty interesting.
Majority of advisors agree that planning and prioritizing every day has the greatest impact on productivity.
36% say the greatest perceived productivity obstacle is trying to do too much, followed by 30% who say it's procrastination.
Yep. And then 47% of advisors indicate that better delegation is one of the best ways to improve efficiency.
So we're going to cover off on some of those topics today. And to be clear, we're trying to be reasonable here and say that not every day is going to be perfect.
No.
But there are some commonalities of those who really maximize every day in terms of how they plan for it, how they execute. And we're going to walk through some of those today. And we're firm believers that first things first, we've got to be able to visualize what this ideal day looks like.
Yeah. That would be a great first step of this. I mean, if you're trying to think about how you can take more control over your day, think about what a really, really good day looks like. What do you get done, right? What are the commonalities in that day? And then how do you make it sustainable, something that you can replicate?
Yeah, personally and professionally. Mm-hmm. So what time did you get up? Did you exercise before work? Did you huddle with your team right when you got into the office? What were some of the commonalities of your best days? And how can we repeat it? So without further ado, let's get into the 7 tips that we have here, Kevin.
Yeah, and tip number one here, to me, this is one of the most important tips, and it's something that I started doing more and more recently, one of my New Year's resolutions, and it's had a huge impact on my how I perceive my productivity, and that is spend more time than you think necessary in planning your day. And that may seem counterintuitive to say, well, I'm actually going to spend 20 or 30 minutes in the mornings or the evening before planning my day, and I'm spending time planning instead of doing. But the reality is that you will get more done, and you'll have this checklist, you'll feel motivated, you'll feel organized. And again, I think this is one of the core components when it comes to taking control of your day.
Yeah, and if you think about some of the recommendations that we often make to people who come to us for help in growing their business or in better servicing their clients, they're not in isolation all that time consuming. Right? And they just don't typically find their way into a very reactive day.
That's really a good point.
So if you think about some of the things that we'd recommend to someone, like, let's say you've got somebody that you know real well socially and you want to have them as a client. And really the next step we all agree is that you need to call that person and ask them to have a meeting with you. How long does that really take?
Right. It doesn't take a ton of time. Exactly.
No. But
or sourcing names. I was just thinking about that, sourcing names. I mean, that's something that you weave into conversation. So
what are the odds, though, that very reactive day where you're all over the place with team and with clients, that you think to go out and proactively do that? If you haven't taken a little bit of time, as you're describing, Kevin, to plan that out, a couple of key actions that I want to take today, you look down at your checklist, it's a great reminder, boom, I'll make that one call. It's the difference between having a day where you go home feeling a little worn out, it was productive, versus a day where you go home feeling a little worn out, but gosh, we're in growth mode.
Yeah.
Number two, spend a day analyzing your interruptions. This is a big one, especially with technology nowadays. Some of us may have our phone out even during podcast.
The other day, Stephen, we were doing a webinar, and I had my phone out here, and my phone was going off, and I was looking. I definitely did check emails during a live webinar. That was probably not the best.
That was a low point.
It was a low point, but it's something where if this is really a distraction, which I should probably turn off those notifications.
I say, Kevin, what's going on here? He goes, just checking the time. Just an extended glance at the time.
What if one of your interruptions is people? And I think that's a very common one for a lot of advisors.
Yeah, so technology and people. Right?
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, and I've heard this on countless coaching sessions, you hear someone's email flag, you'll hear a little boing, or you'll hear the buzzer or whatever it is.
I've never heard the boing, but you're
one of these
days.
You will hear some kind of notifier, and it's flashing up on their screen, and it distracts the heck out of people. And we're not saying don't be responsive, and don't check your email often, but do it in chunks. Don't let it drive your whole day as being reactive to phone calls and emails. And the same with people coming in. There's got to be some quiet time hours.
They just pop their head in. Hey,
how's everything going in here?
Yeah.
But we've worked with some great advisors who have said, not to be a jerk about it, but for the next hour, I'm going to have my door closed because I'm working on something, and I'd like to have that time uninterrupted.
Or I'm going to check emails between this time and this time, right? And that's when I check emails.
Yep.
Next one here is set reminders to keep you on track. I mean, when you're in projects, it's easy to get totally engrossed in that project, and you're not thinking about other things, which is a good thing. But it also can be a good thing to have reminders to shift gears or to remember to call someone.
Yeah. For example, Kevin, with your planning your day is tip number one.
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, you plan your day and there are 3 phone calls you really need to make that day. It wouldn't hurt to say at 11:45, I know I'm going to be headed to lunch around noon or 12:30. Let's put something on the calendar to say 11:45, come up for air, make these calls, and let's knock it out.
Yeah, or tell Siri to remind you, hey, at this time, or whatever it might be.
Number 4, I'm bad about this one. Reflect at the end of each day, what did I accomplish?
I'm good at this one.
I never make time for that. I'm not saying it wouldn't be helpful, but it's something that like the end of the day, I get as much as I possibly can get done before that last minute. I grab my keys, and I'm out. Right?
Yeah, I think the reflection here is good for a couple reasons. One, you'll notice commonalities. Again, what did I do that if I'm noticing that I'm having a lot of distractions, again, that I'm not doing a good job of eliminating those, then that's something that I might need to address. The other is that reflection time could actually be time to plan the next day. Right? Okay. I mean, you could say reflect. What did I get done today? Great. Now let's plan my next day.
They could go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And I'm good about it at the end of a week. That's when I look at it.
Okay. What did I get done this week?
Yeah. I like to look through my task list at the end of the week, and I like to look through my emails, and it just gives you a good reminder of some of the things in a fast-paced day or fast-paced week of, oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. That was a good, a good moment or a good project that we completed.
Good.
So number 4, reflection. Number 5, focus on getting one thing done at a time.
I think this one is really, really important. And it's another one that I think I'm really good at. You say I'm myopic, I say you say I'm myopic, I say I'm focused.
I'll give you this one. Kevin, number 1, is a very productive guy. Number 2, super focused on one project at a time.
One at a time.
So much so that you cannot distract him from that project if you tried. He gets a glazed look on his face, and he's not getting rid of that look until he's done with that project.
Yeah, it'll drive me crazy. But here's why I think this one is so important too, because when we have this kind of daily planner that we're rolling out here for coaching clients very soon. Which, if you're interested in coaching, let us know. Quick plug. But it's going to ask you for the most important task of the day. The one thing that, I've got to get this done no matter what. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing. And that's really what you should focus on in the very beginning of your day. And you really shouldn't move to subsequent tasks until you complete that first task.
Right. And we're not opening up a debate here on whether or not it's possible to multitask because, it's beyond our pay grade to decide on that. Right. Some people feel more strongly about that than others. But we're saying, if you've got a key project, if you've got a bucket of time where you want to spend on marketing, get in there, get fully engrossed in the marketing mindset, for example. Mm-hmm. Knock out all your calls and then move on to something else.
That's exactly right.
And don't try to sprinkle that throughout the entire day. Mm-hmm. Number 6, set aside time for reactive tasks too. So let's say if you took our advice and you turned off all the email notifiers to where you're not getting buzzers and alerts and boings and buzzes and all those sorts of things. Yeah. There's got to be some time where you go in and check email and return phone calls. We're just advocates of bucketing that, right? Right when you get into the office, maybe you pull up for air about 10, maybe again around lunch. Mm-hmm. You want to give people quick response time, but at the same time, you can't afford to have the distraction all day long of back and forth on your phone and email.
Yeah, and I think this one also kind of ties into putting some cushion in your day as well, right? So if you schedule meetings back to back to back to back, and you have no time in between, you're gonna lose control of your day, as opposed to if you have this nice 15-minute cushion time that between these meetings, in case this one ran long, now I have a little bit of cushion in there.
Yeah, it'll let you relax in your meetings a little bit too. You don't feel quite as rushed.
Yeah, exactly.
Same with just going further on that one, Kevin, with the idea of team members being an interruption. When you're planning for reactionary tasks, part of that could be your team huddle. Part of that could be at a certain point in the day you pull everybody together and catch up. We've had some people again go as far as saying, here's my time block for interacting with team and addressing concerns, because they were driven crazy by the fact that every 30 seconds somebody was popping in with a question or two. It's hard to be productive that way.
Yeah. So which is so great. When we think about the first example we were talking about today about how your day just becomes totally reactive, we're saying basically compartmentalize that and be okay with waiting on some of those reactive tasks. The build, unless the building is burning down, right? The thing is that sometimes we just want to address it right then and there, but we can wait. Right. We can be patient.
And lastly, engage your support network. You want to, let's say for example, you start off the new year and you put some new time blocks in place to where every day, 11 o'clock, it is time for my marketing. I'm going to spend time on LinkedIn. I'm going to spend time setting up my client events, reaching out to accountants, following up with my prospects, whatever it might be. That's my hour block. I want to make sure everybody on my team knows, do not come in here with things from 11 to 12. This is my focus time here. Yeah. I've got to work on my marketing. It's important to me. And people are going to be happy to oblige. They just have to know about it in advance.
Yeah, and so that's one way to look at your support network. The other one is basically, you let them know what you're doing. If you give them permission to call you out as well, is also a really good thing. Hey, aren't you supposed to be doing marketing between 11 and 12? And you might have someone on your team that you give that permission to and say, hey, look, I'm really trying to incorporate these things into my day. If I'm not doing that, it's okay to prod me a little bit.
Right. Yeah. If you catch me wandering around the water cooler about 11:30 and looking like I'm lost, give me a little poke. Tell me to get back to it in a nice way. So, the purpose of what we're talking about here today is to try to help everybody, regardless of your profession, to do more of the activities that have the most linkage to your bottom line. So, if you say, for example, that your high impact activities are socializing with clients. They are being proactive and reaching out to your pipeline.
Yep.
They are being proactive with your LinkedIn prospecting, having a lot of client meetings. These are all things that this exercise is built to help you do more of.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So if you plan your day in advance, you're going to do more of those things. If you have time blocks, you're going to do more of them.
Yep.
If your support network is saying, hey, it's marketing time, Kevin, get on it, you're going to do more of those things. And ultimately what we're trying to do is when we started this podcast and we're talking about you visualizing that ideal day, that day where you got up at the right time, you got your exercise in, you knocked out a bunch of calls at the office, you had some quality client meetings, you met with your team, you did all these things right, you helped your kids with their homework. How do we have more days like that?
Yeah, exactly right. Hey, if you're interested in coaching, let us know. This is a great time of year to kick off a coaching relationship and make sure that your 2017 is even more productive than your 2016.
I happen to have a time block on my calendar later today with your name on it if you want to talk about coaching. And no, seriously though, Kevin and I, we love having consults with people. So if you call, you'll be chatting with one of us. We'll talk to you about your business. We'll ask you a lot of questions because we're curious and we want to know all about you and what you're trying to do marketing wise or client service wise or team wise. So give us a call or fill out our profile form and we're happy to chat with you.